How are you?
I'm good, man. Really good. I'm quite tired.
I've heard you only slept about 1 hour.
think it might have been close to that. I think our flight was delayed last night, and the travelling world took over, and then I had to get up for a radio show this morning, but at 5:30 or something like that. So
Okay. Well, I want to start in the beginning for a moment. Your mother's record collection. Was there one or two records that, in particular, made a significant impact on you?
no, it was hard because I didn't take them in at the time when I was growing up. I kind of off the top of my head, I remember Diana Ross and Supremes and later Lionel Richie and things like that. But it was just mainly the Motown compilations in general, and I think I didn't really take it in until I'd moved away and realised that soul was cool. Because growing up in a small little town, I think as a young kid, you couldn't listen to that sort of music because your friends weren't listening to that, and you didn't want to be the odd one out. It was kind of almost a guilty pleasure. Whereas now, the music I actually was listening to that time could be classed as a guilty pleasure.
So, what was the music that you were listening at that
Well,
time?
it wasn't that bad. I was DJing house music and really into house, and I still love house now. But and I was kind of starting to produce, and that was hip hop records, and getting into hip hop records as well, the likes of Jadakiss and Ludacris as well. But yeah.
So when did this moment arrive that you made that distinction between where the two guilty pleasures basically switched sides?
It was when I moved to Leeds, because I grew up in a small little town. When I moved to a city near that had quite a lot of culture and stuff from being in a small little town, I think it was a bit of a shocker. I mean, I moved into a city where there were no social boundaries, where people, the student lifestyle of where people got on, if they got on, it didn't matter what they dressed like or what they listened to or anything like that, and that was a new thing to me. But it was amazing for me and matured me so quickly, and I think, yeah, it was definitely at that time where I started working in a bar where it was based around music, and they were playing a lot of the records my mum were playing, and I quickly realised they were cool. But I mean, I still listen to the music now, what I used to as a kid, and I wouldn't say anything is too much of a guilty pleasure. But
Okay, well, you've said about your time in Leeds that this is the period that where the personality of someone becomes really important, who you are. What did you discover about yourself?
I think growing up in a small little town, you've got that mindset of how people dress and stuff, and how you should treat them and stuff, and you're also very small-minded to what jobs you can do and what the formula of life is in terms of settling down with kids and a wife and in a nice house and getting a steady job and staying there, and that wasn't good enough for me. And I quickly learned that being in the city was a place where I could express everything I wanted to do, that the opportunity was there to be a musician, that the opportunity was there to be a barman and do it successfully, or whatever I wanted to be. I think that's when I started looking at life and going, right now I can take into consideration what do I actually want to do. And surely enough, because I'd gone to study music there, and all my friends were into music, and my life became music, whether it was going out on a night out, whether it was talking about music with my friends, whether it was songwriting, whether it was working in a bar where they had bands on, whether it was anything. I think I was studying, and everything became music. And I think moving to Leeds made it real to me that it was a possibility that I could do music.
Well, but you started writing your own stuff and playing the guitar at age 14.
Yeah, well before I moved to Leeds, but it was a hobby.
Well, yeah. What compelled you then to write your own music at that point?
It's kind of a cover-up, and I can say it in kind of a way that I was so intelligent as a kid. I kind of decided that I couldn't make any money off writing songs, money off covering songs, but the real idea is because I was still learning piano and guitar and stuff like that. If you write a song, you decide to be the judge what's right and what's wrong, and I think at a time where I didn't want to give anybody else the decision what was right and wrong, they had it too much, and they gave me that opinion too much, what was right and wrong, and I definitely didn't want it to come into my songwriting. So I started writing because I had a lot to say, and it felt like it was ready to go. It felt like I've always been a songwriter.
What did you have to say?
I think I write my albums about a breakup. I think I've always wrote songs that are very expressionate, and I keep a little box down here that I don't tell my friends about, but I open up my heart, and that little box is always for my music. It's what other people would write down somewhere or do you know, and or keep it locked up. But I let it out in my music, and it's always been the same. If somebody upset me, you know, or if I was passionate about something that's worth writing about, man, if I feel strong about something.
So I assume all, if not all or most of your songs are autobiographical?
Yeah, I think they've got to be for me to be able to connect to them. I really struggle to perform songs, to write songs that aren't close to heart and about experiences that I've been through myself. And it is a really hard thing. I think the only one is a song on the album called Easy, which was about a friend that was just the worst person in relationships ever, and that's the only one I think that isn't about my own situation, my own circumstances, you know.
Okay, well, you mentioned that this record is a breakup album. Is it difficult then to have all these personal feelings, to bare your soul basically to the public?
No, I don't think so. I think it's, for me, I feel numb about the whole breakup, and that's why I wanted to do the album, because I feel like I've expressed everything now. I feel like there's nothing left to say, and it's nice to walk on stage and perform, and it's nice to hear them on the radio and things like that, because it's a flashback on how it was a bit of a mess, and now I've sorted it out and been able to express it into my music, and I don't know, it just makes me feel, that's what I make music for, to get it off my chest, you know.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, is it true for all the songs you write, where it has some sort of therapeutic function?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's, it's my punch bag, it's my diary, it's my, you know, it's how other people like to get rid of their aggression or get rid of their emotions. Well, I do that in my music. There was a famous book written about songwriting, and the author said that to get rid of a writer's block when you can't write, the reason you have a writer's block is because somebody's upset you quite badly or something, and you've got to find that point, that person that upset you and what it was that upset you, and then you've got to write a letter to them, initial to them, and then rip it up and get rid of it. But then technically you've got it out, you've got it off your chest, and you can continue to be happy, and that's what I like to do with my music. Keep myself happy by doing that.
So the break was the catalyst for writing the album, or had you already written some of the songs?
The only song I think I hadn't written was a song called Cheating, which is my second single, which is going around now. But I was in a place where I was really happy. I just had a #1 single, just got through being ill, and I didn't want to write about being ill. It was too depressing, and I was struggling a little bit. I'd done the whole Rudimental thing and got back in the studio to the point where I wanted to write music so good that it was too good, honestly. It was like, it wasn't the simplicity that I always had. It wasn't the little naive charm that I always had. And I had nothing to talk about. So I was writing songs about street names and stuff like that and trying to be too creative, and until the day that finally things started going wrong. Not that I was waiting for it, but things started going wrong, and it was, obviously the music started coming because I had things to say again. I had problems to show and stuff like that. So it's not that I wanted it to be a breakup album, but
It's just
that's
what you
the
went
thing that
through.
inspired it. So, you know, that's the thing that made it almost.
Well, what strikes me as well is, even though the subject matter can be quite dark, the songs, the music doesn't sound that depressing. It's quite uplifting. So why did you go into this direction for the music?
I think essentially in the long run I'm a pop producer. I think as a producer, when I'm in the studio, I want to make pop music. I enjoy pop music, but I also enjoy my influences, and I don't think people are saying it doesn't sound too pop to me, but that's just because I haven't got synths over it and stuff. I like to use very catchy melodies in terms of what I'm singing, what the instruments are doing, and I like to use simple forms, and I think that's why it feels uplifting. I like uplifting music. I like to, you know, to vibe out in the studio and smile to a tune, but that it's close to me. I think that's why I fall in love with my music. It's sentimental content with a good feeling behind it.
In this sense, is this relatable to the Motown sound, where the subject matter also is breakups oftentimes, or love in general, but the songs still sound very uplifting, very positive?
Yeah, massively. I think a massive example of something like that is War by Edwin Starr. It's a great, great pop tune and really vibey, but however he's talking about war and he's talking about racial divide in America at the time during the 1960s in the likes of Detroit. But I think, yeah, I think that was Motown, and probably I have taken it from Motown, that, like I've taken a lot of things from